I have a dark secret, and I'm getting anonymous threatening messages. It all started the last semester of high school. I was stressed out with my exams and grades. I wanted to get into a prestigious university, and they demanded all A's. My dad was the chemistry teacher, but if you think that was an advantage, think again. He was one of the toughest teachers, and all the students were afraid of him. And I didn't get the nerdy genes, I'm sorry to say. Chemistry was a nightmare for me. And since he was my dad, he demanded more of me than the rest. It was the only subject where I was staying behind. So, the night before the exam, I sneaked into his room and stole the key to the school lab. I needed to practice the exercises, and of course, I couldn't do that at home. It was about 10 p.m. when I got inside the lab. It looked really creepy in the dark, and I couldn't turn on the lights for obvious reasons. I took out the elements and the substances on the shelves and started to do the exercises. By 3 a.m., I was really tired and I couldn't distinguish anything anymore. I didn't realize I'd fallen asleep until I started to smell a strong sulfur scent. And when I woke up, the entire lab was on fire. Oh my God! Still dizzy but suddenly filled with adrenaline, I took the fire extinguisher and tried to put the fire down. Everything was a mess. Things were breaking and substances were exploding with the fire. And to make it worse, the damn thing didn't work. The fire was growing fast and it almost reached me. I was scared and stressed, and I couldn't call the firefighters because I was not supposed to be there in the first place. The smoke made it hard to breathe. I had to get out of there. I ran back home, still trembling. I put the key back and went to my room, but I couldn't sleep. I stayed up the rest of the night thinking not only could I have died, but my scholarship was at risk. The next morning, I still smelled of sulfur, so I took a long shower. The memories from last night were so vivid in my head that I couldn't eat. I climbed into my dad's car and we went to school. When we arrived, it was a commotion. Firemen, police, press, everyone was there. The lab wall was completely black. I acted as surprised as I could and rushed out of the car to meet my best friend Donna. "What happened?" I asked her. It was the obvious question. Then I asked her if they knew who did it, but my friend said no. We got to class and I was having trouble keeping it together. I hid my shaking hands underneath my desk. Donna stared at me but said nothing. And when the bell rang, she took me straight to the bathroom and demanded a confession. I put on my best innocent face, but she pointed at my hair and said it was burnt out. She knew me too well and I couldn't hide the secret any longer. I looked around to check that we were alone and spit it out. She was shocked, of course. "Don't tell anyone. I can't afford to lose my scholarship," I begged. Throughout the day, I paid attention to the comments and gossip to see if the authorities had discovered anything. I got more and more relaxed as I saw that no one had a clue. But close to the end of the day, I found a strange envelope inside my locker. When I opened it, my world fell apart. It had a simple note that said, "I know it was you." I felt sick. I looked around but saw nothing suspicious. Who was the person? How did they know? Did the handwriting look familiar? I had no answers, and I got really scared. I tried to act cool as I went back home, trying to focus on the other subjects for my scholarship, but I failed monumentally. I didn't sleep much that night, and I hadn't slept much the night before, so my ability to concentrate was going down a cliff. By lunchtime, I found the next anonymous message inside my backpack. I told Donna that I needed to talk to her, and we went to the bathroom. I accused her immediately. She was the only one that knew my secret, and the anonymous messages started to appear right after. I had no time for this, and I blamed her for everything. She shouted at me, completely offended. But she would have done that too if she were guilty, so I didn't let her get inside my head. I called her a traitor and spit in her face that she was jealous of me, that she was doing this on purpose. She yelled a number of insults at me and went out crying. After a moment, I went out to the hallway as well. I began to feel that everyone was staring at me. Did they know? Was my secret out? Could Donna be such a traitor? "What are you looking at?" I shouted at a boy I didn't even know. He laughed with his friends and moved on. They knew. I was sure of it. I was going to lose my scholarship, and it was going to be the end. As if someone could read my mind, I heard my name through the speakers. The principal wanted to see me. I started to sweat, and by the time I got inside his office, I was drenched. He looked at me with a worried face and asked me if I was okay. I saw my reflection in the glass of a portrait and realized my hair was messed up and my eye bags were raccoon black circles. I combed my hair quickly with my hands and smiled, trying to act cool. My knees were shaking, so I sat on the chair and crossed my legs. Then the principal took out an envelope and put it on the desk. He looked at me seriously, and I thought I was about to snap. I was seconds away from confessing everything. But then he said, "Congratulations, your scholarship has been approved." I cried. I was in heaven. Just a few weeks more and this nightmare would be over. I only needed to pass the remaining exams, and that was it. I thanked him and went back to my locker. My dream was coming true. But when I opened it, the next anonymous message said, "You will lose your scholarship for this." What? It had been minutes since the news. What the hell was going on? A group of students passed next to me laughing. I turned around and shouted at them to leave me alone. They laughed even harder and walked away. By lunchtime, the entire cafeteria stared at me when I got inside. The gossip had definitely spread. It was Donna. I'm sure of it. She knew I was the best student and she wanted to ruin my life. I looked at her in anger. She stared back. Everyone was laughing, but not her. I took my food and went to the bathroom to eat it. I was shaking so hard I was having trouble with the cutlery. I couldn't even open my yogurt. I was so tired. I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was almost time to go home, and I realized I missed my history exam. Oh no! I rushed to the administrator's office and told her I was sick. I don't know what my face looked like, but for the look she gave me, I must have been really bad. I would have the chance to take the history exam later, and she told me to go home. But I was in hell. I couldn't concentrate on any other subject in school, and all my grades started to go down. The principal called me again and warned me that if this continued, I would lose my scholarship. Why did this have to happen now? Why me? For the biology exam, I had no energy, but I didn't have a choice either. I hoped I didn't fall asleep in the middle of it, but when I opened my folder, another message was there. The truth will come out. Confess now. The adrenaline rush awoke me. The teacher noticed and started to walk towards me. "What do you have there?" she asked. I grabbed the paper and ripped it into pieces. It was worse. When I realized that that was precisely what a cheating student would do, it was too late. I looked around. Everyone was staring at me. I was going mad. I rushed out the class, shaking. I was not going to pass that exam, and now I had no excuse. I locked myself in the bathroom, hoping I would die. Donna entered and called my name. She said she was really worried about me and suggested that I tell the principal what happened. He'd probably understand. That made me even angrier. Right after the last message, which explicitly said I should confess, she says this. I opened the door and said, "Why are you doing this? I thought you were my friend." "I am your friend," she said. "You look terrible. Please, let me help you." But I denied. I couldn't take her lies anymore. "Traitor!" I shouted as I went outside. All the students stared at me. "You're all traitors!" I had to get out of there. I had to go home. I took out my phone to call an Uber, and a new anonymous message slipped from my jeans. "Everyone knows it was you," it said. And that was it. I snapped. I started to scream, and everyone stared at me like I was insane. "Okay, it was me. I set the lab on fire. So what? It was an accident. Are you happy now?" But everyone stood still in shock. "Why do you act surprised? You knew. Everyone knew," I yelled. But their faces and their silence proved otherwise. I stood still, as shocked as them. Did I just confess my secret to everyone? The principal appeared in the hallway looking pissed. "My office, now," he said to me. As I walked with him, all my worry suddenly vanished. I wasn't passing my exams. I'd been acting like a weirdo in front of the teachers. I'd probably lost my scholarship already, so no punishment would be hard enough. And when we got inside his office, my dad was there. Did he just find out too? He didn't look surprised. "I'm sorry, Dad," was all I could say. "Do you realize how irresponsible you've been?" he said. He made a pause and added, "I thought the messages would scare you enough to confess, but look at you. You're a mess." What? My dad was the author of the anonymous messages? And I thought I was crazy. "How could you do that?" I yelled. "You know how sick this is? You're insane. You made me lose my scholarship. You set the lab on fire, and it's my fault? You need to deal with the consequences of your actions, young lady," he yelled. I felt the tears in my eyes. This was too much. I looked at the principal and told him I was really sorry, that it had been an accident and that they should check the fire extinguishers. "If you want to expel me, okay, I deserve it," I said, defeated. "We'll have to discuss this with the board," he answered. Then I stared at my dad. "You're impossible," I told him. "Everyone in school is afraid of you. I'm afraid of you. Nothing is ever good enough for you. You put so much pressure on my shoulders that, look what happens. You too need to deal with the consequences of your actions." I went outside the office and immediately thought about Donna. I've been so unfair to her. I looked everywhere for her until I found her in the bathroom, crying. She looked really mad, and she had every reason for it. I explained everything and told her I was sorry. She said my dad was insane, which we all knew already. "What do you think is going to happen now?" she asked. I didn't have the answer to that, but what I do know is that no one should have to deal with that amount of pressure, especially a teenager. We finish high school and we're scared to death about our future. How could we possibly know at the age of 18 what we'll be doing for the rest of our life? 50-year-olds don't even know that. I know who I am, and I know what I like. Even if I lose my scholarship, I'll find a way in life. Thankfully, I have my friends. I have support. The rest will be revealed at its own time.